Hey Sunrise, it's Andrew here with your small group questions for this week as we finish out Genesis chapter 41 and the rise of Joseph. So as we begin this text, we see how these two pieces fit together as we see the whole of chapter 41. So what is the big arching theme that you see in this whole text? So bringing both weeks together, what is the big theme that we can draw out of these texts? And then as you work through the individual sections, we see the reality of the very first thing is the Spirit of God is with Joseph. What stands out in that phrase as Pharaoh asked that question, who should we find? Who can we find with the Spirit of God? So what does that mean coming from Pharaoh himself? What does that mean in reflection to Joseph? What are some of the things that we see that can show that reality of the Spirit of God with him? Then ultimately we begin to see this transformation take place of Joseph. So Pharaoh calling Joseph and then giving him all of these assignments. So into this, what are some of the things that stand out about the Egyptianization of Joseph? What are some of the elements that stand out? Such as the fact that we have this fact that he's given, the text will say fresh linens. It's actually an Egyptian word with this idea of that royal robe, royal clothing. Again, so as we see that clothing come into play again, as we keep seeing God's work here. So what stands out in that? And then even when he is fully embraced into the culture, he's given a new name and he is given a new wife. So what are some of the important aspects of those transitions in Joseph's life? And how does that set up later the birth of his own kids and the names that he gives to them? What are some of the things that strike you about both of their names, Manasseh's and Ephraim's? So what are some of the things in his naming of them? Also key, they are Hebrew names. So what does that tell us? That he names them Hebrew names, not Egyptian names. And so as you continue to think through this text, we also then see at the very end that all the things in the dream come true. So 7 years of plenty leads to great famine. Why is that key? That we see in our text the fulfillment of the dreams that began at the beginning of 41, bring to conclusion at the end. How does that wrap up this whole chapter well? But also, how does that show God's work? And also, what does that mean for Joseph as we continue to see these things come to fruition? So again, these are just some of the small things that you can unpack this week. Really diving into the text, what are some of the Christological, fancy word for how is Christ revealed in this text? There's some good illustrations. How Joseph we can see as a mirror in some ways, a type of Christ to come. What are some of the pieces that stick out in this text of seeing that reality? And then again, just hope that you'll spend some time diving deep into this text as we continue to unpack the end of Genesis. We're coming to an end here soon, so spend some time in the Word, again, unpacking these things in our small group, and then we will see you on Sunday morning. Can't wait to worship with you guys. See you soon.